All right, this is going to be a tutorial walkthrough guide, if you will, of a PUG Ara-Kara 11 I did. It's not completely a PUG. I do know the hunter. He's a guildie of mine, a good friend. So, but I don't know the healer, don't know the tank. I don't know what kind of pulls we're going to be doing. So I should be able to give you kind of the idea of how to run this dungeon in a PUG. This first pull, I'm going to stay in stealth. And the reason I do that is because these mobs like to jump to random enemies or random players. And as soon as they do that, they put you in combat. So that's going to scuff your opener if you can't start in combat. And you really don't want to waste a vanish on this first pull. All right, I paused the video because I want to talk about the rotation real quick. So the first thing you're going to do out of stealth is ambush. That's to apply your death mark. That's our hero talent this season. It's super strong. You want it up at all times, 100%. And then we're going to groat. Normally this is for iron wire. This first pull, not scary at all. We don't really need the iron wire, but the bleed's getting out, still does a lot of damage. We still want it. Then we go into our rupture to start building our scent of blood stacks. And then we groat, rupture again. The reason those two groats are in there is because I'm running serrated bone spike, or I'm not running serrated bone spike. So I don't get the free combo points. I got to build up again. Groat gives you more combo points out of stealth. It's the fastest way to get out another rupture before our subterfuge ends. Once we have our rupture out, I usually mutilate into a Phantom Knives, into a Crimson Tempest. You want your Crimson Tempest out early because it's a dot. The faster the mobs die, the less value you're getting on that Crimson Tempest dot. Once your Crimson Tempest is out, it's pretty much just Envenom spam. You're going to be building Phantom Knives when you're above 3 targets to build combo points, and Envenoming as fast as you can at 5 combo points or more to try and build to the Keystone. And then once you hit the Keystone, you got to Envenom with max combo points. Boom, boom, big damage.
The other 3 went and killed this mini boss.
Okay, so here's all this in real time. You know, groat, rupture, mutilate to get caustic spatter up. Should have mentioned that in the beginning. That's super important. Then we do the Crimson Tempest, and then we're just Envenom spamming. We're trying to get to our max combo points. And as soon as we do that, here's the Keystone. We're going to Envenom here. It's going to be big damage. And then we're just kind of cleaning up the trash. The one thing I want to call out here is you're not going to get a re-stealth going into the next pack because this little green circle around these mobs, nobody bothers killing them. They're basically a suicide bomber at that point. They're just going to explode. You don't have to finish doing damage on them. So it's really important that you have your vanish going into this pull because, and I'm going to pause the video and back up here, because you're not going to be able to kick this first mob and kick the shrill of the mini boss. All right. If you're in a PUG, you cannot trust a single person in your PUG to kick the shrill. So as a rogue, what you want to do here is you're going to vanish and groat this attendant. And what that's going to do is the attendant's going to be, oh, I can't cast a spell. And it's going to run with you to the attendant. And in a PUG, you're going to be the one kicking the shrill because you can't trust anyone else to do it. I cheat in this video because, like I mentioned before, Lance Out is my friend. He told me, hey, I'm going to get it. I also super scuffed this. I groat into a vanish, which might be the worst thing I could do. But it's okay. We recover. We're going in. I get the kickoff. Our tank pulls them in. And now we're going to switch to the attendant, and we're just going to blast them. We save our cooldowns for this pull, so you're going to see me Deathmark, Kingsbane. I'll go over that rotation on the first boss. But we're just funneling all of our damage into the mini boss here. Somebody's going to get that shrill for us. And the other thing I want to call out is you need to have a focus macro. So I paused the video here so I can highlight the focus macro. All right. So this guy over here is my focus target. And you can see my kick is up in 2 seconds. And so what the focus macro is going to let you do is it's going to let you keep funneling all of your damage to the intended, which I'm going to talk about why that's important when we get to the boss. And without switching targets, I'm going to be able to kick this resonating barrage and keep my focus on the attendant. Don't have to switch off him on damage for even a second. And it's really, really good. If you want to get better, you need to set up a focus macro and a focus kick.
Target change.
All right, we just clean up the trash here. Nothing crazy. People are getting the shrills for us, thankfully. Pretty simple. Just boom, boom, boom. Kill, kill, kill. Alright. Going into this next fight, I want you to notice, even before we get there, I'm setting up my focus macro. So there's an attendant over here on the right. I click him. I set the focus. I don't have to worry about it for the rest of the fight. I can funnel. I can garrote. I can rupture whoever I want. If I need to kick something from that attendant, don't have to switch my target. Alright, we clean up this trash. Our tank kind of DCs here. We're going to see him disconnect. But nothing crazy here. We're doing the same kind of rotation. We're fan kniving. We're envenoming. I should be clearing my capstone here. This is pretty trash by me as I just waste combo point after combo point, not hitting envenom, and we finally did it. You want to hit that button as soon as it's up. Maybe you can hit a mutilate before that to get the caustic spatter out so the damage splashes to nearby enemies, but that was kind of bad by me, if we're being honest. I think we're going to skip ahead to the boss because there's not a whole else lot going on. There's a couple smaller trash pulls that we got coming up next, but nothing crazy. Oh, yeah. I guess we're saving.
Well, I did already pull the news.
Okay. He's offline.
Oh no. Holy shit, I thought it was gonna fly off.
Oh, I forgot to hit a button. Holy shit. Alright, this was pretty trash by me too. You need to hit a button there. You need to hit either Feint, Evasion, or Cloak of Shadows. If you're in an 11 key and you're not hitting one of those buttons on this mob, you don't deserve to be doing an 11. I should have died there. My healer's a G. You should be hitting your defensive buttons. It's not your healer's job to keep you alive through a move like that. Here we go again. We hit Feint that time. Huge difference in amount of damage I took. So that's super important. When there's big bursts of damage, it's your job to survive. We have health potions, we have evasion, we have Cloak of Shadows, we have Feint. Rogues are very, very tanky. You should never die, especially in an 11. Alright, this is a little better example of growing into this guy to get him to move a little faster. I don't know why he isn't moving. Our tank is kind of taking his time getting there, so we have to waste a kick here anyways. But that's not a huge deal. You'll also notice my focus macro is set up again, so I'm going to be pumping this mini boss the whole time. If I need to kick that mob, I will do so with my focus kick. Don't have to change targets. We see that right here. So boom, kick him. Didn't have to change targets. I'm not hearing that, I don't think.
Maybe I'm just getting tinnitus.
You guys aren't hearing this constant ring?
Target change.
This boss will be not as fun with 3 melee. Alright, we're going to start explaining kind of some of the rogue rotation here, and I'll pause the video as I need to. But basically what you're going to do is it's kind of similar. You're going to ambush if you don't have death mark. You're going to garrote, you're going to rupture, and then you're going to build up to 1 envenom. And there's a couple reasons that you want all of your buffs. You want your envenom buff, you want your slice and dice, and you want all of that before you go into your death mark, your shiv, your Kingsbane. And you want a shiv before your Kingsbane because of the way Kingsbane works. So I'm going to pause the video. We're going to talk about how Kingsbane works. All right, the way I like to think about Kingsbane is kind of like an empty bucket. So soon as you hit Kingsbane on a target, your bucket is empty. And if you did nothing else to the target, if you walked away, didn't hit another global, every tick of Kingsbane would do 0 damage because the bucket is empty. There's no damage stored in the bucket. But every amount of damage you do after you hit Kingsbane is going to fill up that bucket. So the reason we want all of our buffs out before we hit Kingsbane is because we want to do as much damage as quickly as possible. Because once the bucket is full, you can't put any more damage in it. But if you can fill that bucket in 2 seconds instead of 10 seconds, you're going to get 8 extra seconds of big Kingsbane damage. So that's why we want Slice and Dice. That's why we want our Envenom buff. That's why we want Shiv going into this. We're trying to get as much of our damage front loaded into Kingsbane so we can hit the maximum damage threshold, fill up the bucket, and just let Kingsbane blast for the rest of its ticks. Alright, so we're going to watch that play out real quick. We Deathmark, Shiv, Kingsbane, and Venom blasting. Alright, so the ads come out. We're going to switch to those. We're going to blast them down as quickly as possible. First thing I'm going to do is get a Rupture on one. Then I'm going to go into a Mutilate to get the Caustic Spatter out. And then we're just going to spam our AoE. These guys die pretty quick because we have some good DPS. Alright, so as soon as you kill these ads, maybe even a little before, you want to stack on the tank. I don't do a great job on this, but you want to stack with the tank because you're going to try and... You don't want these webs going everywhere. You got people in range, you got people in melee. Everyone should get into melee, sit on the tank, follow him as he goes around. It's going to give you a lot more space in the arena and make this fight a lot less painful. The rest of this is kind of rinse and repeat. I do want to call out the Shrill next time it happens. Did this guy get bigger or is that just me?
Stack.
Again, we're stacking on the tank, trying to clean up the map as much as possible. Alright, so for this Shrill, we're going to talk about this again. You need to hit a button. It is not your healer's job to keep you alive during this. Again, we have Feint, we have Cloak of Shadows, we have Evasion. Spirit Link went down there, so we could probably get away with just the Feint. Where you can see we still have our Cloak of Shadows, we're sitting pretty. But again, if you die during that, it's not your healer's fault. You need to be hitting a button or you don't deserve to be intense. Here, I'm going to Cloak a Shadow just to kind of keep up time, walk through the webs. I don't want to deal with it. We won't hit another Shrill, so I don't need it for damage reduction on the next one. I probably should have hit the Cloak of Shadows a little earlier or a little later to cover this Shrill, but that's okay. We're going to kill him. We don't have to worry about these ads. Bada bing, bada boom.
Good job.
The next section isn't crazy. Again, I'm going to harp on the focus macro. You really want to kick the volleys that come out of these guys. But at the same time, you need to be funneling damage into the big brood guards because they give in a 50% damage reduction to everyone around them, which I learned last week. A little embarrassing, but you might not know that either. So with your focus target, assuming you have a tank that pulls everyone together, that focus target's going to let you funnel into the blood guard, but still be able to get important interrupt kicks. So again, can't stress it enough. Focus kick, super strong. You definitely want it. Yeah, but these next few mobs, I don't think there's a whole lot to talk about. You just want to blast.
The blood guards give a damage reduction aura. Yeah. I didn't find out about
Alright, so this is a good example where tank's about to
Yeah, I think
pull in these ads. I'm instantly going to switch to one of them because they're casters. Gonna set my focus target and then go immediately back into funneling the brood guard, but still get the kickoff, no issue.
Target change.
Yeah, and just to call out, you can definitely vanish and garrote in a pinch to help with that affix. You know, rogues are really bad for this week, I would say. Like, it doesn't feel good trying to clear that, and it really doesn't feel good to use a vanish just to clear them, but don't be afraid to do it. You know, yeah, I've said it in the start of the dungeon, you know, pugs, you're just trying to survive. Like, you don't need to optimize your damage for every last little second. Like, it's okay to blast a vanish just to clear the affix, because if all those bubbles go off, you're gonna wipe. If you don't perfectly get all your bleeds out and you're ripping all of your damage, like, okay, the key takes 10 seconds longer, but the goal is to survive to the end. You don't need the damage. This is a little scuffed. I
Yeah, well, the
had
second
one too many adult apple juices, and I did not realize there was a shrill in the group, so we pulled two blood guards here, which is very accurate for how pugs go. Mistakes like this happen all the time. Honestly, this should be a wipe, but our healer's an absolute G. This is a really good spot to pop evasion. Like, there's not a reason to hold it. I should probably be fainting more here. You can see I'm getting targeted with web bolts and kind of just eating them. In hierarchies, that's going to kill me. But yeah, luckily we have a really good healer, and we survive. Okay, there we go. I popped a feint, so I'm not totally worthless at my job.
Don't pull this other one. Oh, God.
Frontal.
Oh, it's...
Wow. Well,
exactly how it's supposed to be done. Alright,
Crowd control.
As you can see, I've learned from my mistakes. I'm targeting down these shrills first, even though there's a brood guard in the group. Just funnel the damage. Obviously, I would be doing more damage if I was funneling the brood guard, but that's not what this is about, right? We just got to kill these shrills. It's going to save us time in the long run.
I feel like we can't kill these shrells because
of the
of this,
bodyguard.
yeah. I'm like targeting this one, which is not bad.
Frontal.
Also saw us use that AoE blind there. Really, really strong. I probably should be using it more throughout the dungeon. It's kind of like a nice little interrupt when you don't have another one. So,
We didn't?
No,
but we used it there to stop the
Oh.
shrill, so pretty good.
Actually, I guess we did. I thought another brood. For some reason, I thought another one came.
Interrupt.
Whoops, we stacked it.
Should be okay. Huh. I could have sworn I saw like a giant brood master coming. Or brood guard.
Frontal.
This is me being bad again. I should have hit that keystone death mark way earlier. I had it up since the start of the fight. I want to be hitting that button sooner.
Frontal.
There's nothing really crazy about this boss. I'd say he's pretty easy. You're just going to do damage the whole time, interrupt the ads, and avoid the swirlies. I would say if you get targeted with the swarm, hit a
Boss is
button.
always gonna pick the healer.
I think I'm going to get hit with one right here, and not hitting a button, not hitting a button, not hitting a button, almost die. I did pop the vial. Hopefully that saves me. Tank saves my life there by gripping him, but yeah, I mean, if I had hit feint or evasion there, I would have been totally fine. So that's on me. Again, not my healer's fault.
Oh no. Good,
Use the blind to get the interrupt there.
blind.
Could hear it in your oh no, but it's something that had to be done.
Yeah.
Yo, tank, what are you doing? Oh!
Run out.
I think he was standing in, yeah.
Here's me getting hit with infestation. This time I faint. Not nearly as close to dying immediately.
Interrupt.
Oh, can we get
One thing I didn't mention in the first cooldown rotation guide is you want to hit your second shiv during the last 8 seconds of Kingsbane. So I have a timer tracking that. And again, it's for the same reason. Your Kingsbane bucket should be filled up by the time you're on the last 8 seconds. So when you're shivving, you're just boosting what is a really big bucket of damage. So pretty much you're using both your shivs in your Kingsbane window every single time, I don't shiv outside of Kingsbane ever. You know, obviously you only have the death mark every other Kingsbane, but you can pretty much, in my opinion, on 10 and 11s in an uncoordinated group, I send death mark and I send Kingsbane on cooldown with a few exceptions. You know, obviously if there's a boss coming, I wouldn't waste Deathmark and Kingsbane on the mob before this boss. I'm going to hold it for the boss because that mob isn't scary at all. But Tyrannical, all bosses are a little spooky. So you're going to save your cooldowns for that. But outside of like those windows, just blast it. There's also some occasions where I will have Deathmark up, but I will only Kingsbane because I know the trash is going to take maybe a minute, maybe it takes 50 seconds and I have to wait 10 seconds into a boss to send my death mark. That's not a huge deal. So I will do that occasionally, but it's pretty rare. At this point, we're crushing the timer, and the tank's doing a really good job of not overpulling. Like, there's no reason to get crazy here. We're going to time the key as long as we don't do anything catastrophic. So we take it pretty slow, I think, until the final boss.
Watch your step.
Oh, the birds are here.
One little trick I like to do when we get kind of into a low situation of mobs here is pick the lowest health one when I have my death mark ready to go and just blast an envenom into them. Hope they die, refresh that death mark back to fresh, and boom, I get to blast another one at full damage for free. So we're kind of doing that here. I don't know why I'm not sending death mark. One too many adult apple juices, but that's just a little way to pad the stats, if you will. It doesn't really help you. You're going to kill those mobs anyways, but pad. The only thing to call out on this guy is use a button on these slams. There's no reason not to. Feint is up so often. It'll just save your healer a little bit of grief. But this guy isn't super dangerous. I would say send your cooldowns into him. You'll have him back up before the final boss.
Stun incoming. Target change. Stun incoming.
I'll get the right.
Again, this isn't entirely a pug, so I have the advantage of having the hunter with me. So I told him I was going to get the left. I got the left. He got the right. In a pug, just pick one, kick it right away. If you both kick the same one,
All melee group.
that's pretty tough. But
Right?
there's nothing you could do. There's two kicks. You just gotta hope someone on your team is competent enough to get the other one.
Interrupt. Watch your step.
Final boss here is going to be pretty brutal. I mentioned it before, we're a full melee group. The poison dispel is really rough because we're all in melee. Finding pools is going to be pretty chaotic. In my opinion, if you're in a pug, it's every man for himself. Step in the first pool you can as fast as you can, because that's going to give the person that wanted that pool the most amount of time to find their own. But I usually like to plan out, all right, where's there 2 or 3 of them? Because I can go there, take one of them. If someone's going in the same direction, hopefully they're okay. I would say you never want to Cloak of Shadows this poison off. That time I stone form it, Dwarf Master Race. But do not Cloak of Shadows is off. What you want to save that for is an oh shit moment. I didn't get into a puddle. I need to Cloak of Shadows to save myself. So we're just going here. A couple things to call out on my weak aura. I track Rupture. I track Growth. If you want to optimize, you want to constantly have Growth. You want to constantly have Rupture on your target. You should be monitoring that some way, whether it's on the frame itself or you have a weak aura helping you.
You can just stay in melee. I'll
That'll
get
make
out
you
of
better.
time with the poisons.
You also have to be tracking your death mark, so you know when you're at max stats here. That's the little glowy thing right now. That tells me, hey, I need to get to full combo points before I send my Envenom to get that effect. Yeah, but other than that, we're just trying not to die.
Well, that could have been really bad.
Watch your step.
I will say you can, these little guys that run across that create the pools die in one hit. So you can just, I don't know what it's called, throwing knife? We're going to call it the throwing knife. You can throwing knife them and they'll get blasted. So here we go. There's 3 pools over here. That's why I walked this way. Found myself one. Just kick yourself out of it. But yeah, that's pretty much the Ara-Kara. This was an 11 PUG group. Cleaned it pretty easily. This is my first time doing one of these, so let me know if you guys like it. If this video gets 100 likes, I guarantee you I will do another one. But if there's any feedback, audio issues, your voice is super annoying, please don't ever say things like adult apple juice again. Leave a comment. I would love to hear what is working and what isn't. But hope you enjoyed the run. Hope you learned something. And catch you in the next one.
Oh, sorry. I just fucking cover healer.
Watch your step.
That was definitely my bad. Nice. +2 that one too. We're fiends.